I'm Marcus Lithander, your host for the show Future Fika Chat about the future of education here at KTH. Today I'm at the studio, Maxi Studio, one of two Maxi studios. But more importantly than me, we have our co-host Joakim Lilliesköld. Welcome.
Thank you.
And of course, today's guest, Olga Viberg. And Olga Viberg, you are now the cluster coordinator for AI and learning in higher education. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, Marcus, and thank you, Joakim, for having me here. So I'm Olga Viberg. I'm associate professor at the Department of Human Centered Technology at KTH. I do have background in informatics, but also teacher education, but have been always interested in how we actually can design and use and evaluate technologies for human learning and how we can support students and teachers in these important processes. So yeah, I do currently lead several related projects that have to do with use of AI and learning analytics system in higher education, but also in K-12 education. And also teach courses on Introduction to Technology Enhanced Learning, AI for Learning, and supervise thesis work for students who are increasingly engaging in the topic during the last few years.
Very interesting. AI, this is, I think, our third podcast about AI since I've been a host. And Olga, if you would talk about maybe we can start talking about like how do you see, what is your vision for AI and how KTH will use AI in the future?
Thank you. I guess the question is not about the future. I guess the question about what AI is already doing to educational system like KTH today. And AI is not new. It has been in use for quite a long time for different type of tasks and teaching and learning practices. What is new, I guess, today is this increasing use of large language models and high adoption rate by the students and the teachers as well for learning and teaching practices. So AI is doing, I think, quite much currently. It's changing students' practices. So the latest, I think, Anthropic report on how students use commercial large language models shows, for example, that students in STEM educations are the most users first. And the second one also shows that students increasingly use it. It's a bit unfortunate for higher order thinking skills like problem solving, creativity, and so on. So basically what it means that we are challenged in a way as institutions, how we support humans, how we support human students, how we support teachers in these transformation practices that the education system is currently experiencing. So I think what is important now, it's important to think about how we can preserve and protect human agency to learn, to teach, and to flourish in the future with all these different types of and pervasive AI system. At the same time, I do believe, and there is evidence telling us that this system, if pedagogically adapted in a way that supports students, can be quite good and supportive for different stakeholders. So I guess as an institution, we have a large and challenging task to figure out how we can actually design such system to support students and to support teachers rather than to replace that what they're currently doing.
How do you think the discussion is around that then today? I mean, it's a super important question and discussion that should be ongoing for us. Is that
I think currently what AI is doing, it in a way threatens human agency. So cognitively, by fostering mental offloading to and over reliance on AI, for example, when students generate outputs from AI, so they have to gain cognitive, reflective thinking skills, whether the outputs are correct or whether they can actually be used to support their learning process. So metacognitively, it also decreased critical thinking, self-regulation in learning. So basically, they may become lazy in thinking by themselves. And also socially, by replacing peer collaboration and support seeking from teachers with large language models interaction. I wouldn't say that they totally replace teacher interaction, but students have changed their help-seeking behavior when they interact with the system by approaching the system in the first hand, and then we'll talk, let's say, to the teacher assistant for more higher order problem-solving tasks. And this, as we know, because we run a number of interviews, we looked a little bit at the log data students shared with us. So there is quite telling evidence. The question is, what should we as an institution do about it, and how we design curriculum in a way that actually supports students as humans and individuals in the future life.
And it's very interesting with this fact. How is that discussion vibrant and ongoing, you think, or is it something, maybe this is something you want to work with in as a cluster leader, or so is there a big discussion at KTH around this?
I think personally it's extremely important to start doing something about it. I think we all do many different things in different courses, different programs. However, I don't think we have a comprehensive picture of what's going on at KTH, but we, for example, know that assessment forms, how we actually assess student work in courses, should be a matter of change. In some courses, we have run tests and some current examination form a pass rate with latest large language models, chatbots, which creates a very large question about what we're actually assessing and whom we're assessing. So what should we do about this type of assessment, and how we also use large language models for instructional materials and so on. So I guess there is much going on at KTH. There is a lot of going on outside KTH. So there is a very increased interest in how we can support different type of stakeholders, not only students, but also instructors, administrative staff in these type of human AI interactions.
Have you seen, I'm always looking for like good concrete examples. If we go over, so we talk about like how the students are using AI. If we go to the teacher side, and you said in the beginning, if I understood correctly, that there are several ways that teachers can use AI to modify their teaching, to improve their teaching. Do you have any examples of this, or want to discuss something that teachers maybe could do, or how do you think they should tackle?
I think teachers may, with the help of AI system, current AI system, may get a better understanding of what their students do in their courses by developing teacher-oriented dashboards or adaptive support.
And adaptive
Teachers
support.
also can use it to, let's say, generate instructional materials, but there is a need for human oversight, whatever they're doing with AI systems. So I think this is important. I do not know how at KTH, but outside KTH, there is also a lot of use of AI to assessing students' work, which also can be a way of saving their time, but at the same time, it can provide the risk for assessing it in a non-accurate way that will jeopardize the future of the student in their university studies and future lives. So I guess there are many different ways how we can do it. The important thing is to consider what kind of needs do this teacher has, and what is the context where it should be implemented, because I think the contextual nature matters. And also creating, let's say, AI systems that do not satisfy the teacher's needs is not very effective investment of resources. So we need really to first identify, okay, what are the largest gaps we have? For example, we have really big courses. We may have not enough human resources to support students. So what AI maybe can do if we design it in a pedagogically profound way is to provide feedback to individual students in the right time, in the right moment. But how to do it, I guess it's a collaborative effort between the student, between the teacher, and the researchers around it designing such practices.
Yeah, I guess that's a big challenge in the sense we don't want to create AI that helps the teachers grade AI generated material from the students. It's AI doing AI.
No, we don't. But also currently we don't have enough evidence and say we cannot really identify or prove that the students have used the AI. So this also a bit of challenging for educational systems. At the same time, as I said before, we potentially need to reconsider the practices we are doing.
Exactly.
Is there any type of practice we can design that shows students' capabilities or helping teacher without they need or can use AI?
Isn't that one of the most important discussions to start having, what we want to do in the meeting between teacher and student and how we do things?
I think it's always the case.
Yeah.
In practice, it can be a challenging task, especially when the teacher has a really big class or big course of the students and don't have enough resources to reach out to every student and help. So I think in that way, AI, let's say in a form of AI mediated teacher assistant or sometimes feedback system can be really helpful, but we have to be really careful about how we design. We should co-design it with different stakeholders. We should also do smaller pilot tests before we scale this up in a larger courses and continuously evaluate such use, because otherwise it can become dangerous as well. So we don't want to, we want to support, we don't want to do the other way around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking, can we compare KTH to other universities? Are we well prepared for students using AI? For me, as I'm thinking, in one sense, we are well prepared. As I see it, like we are still building stuff. When we were in different. I went to the Formula One student, and I saw them like, oh, we are building real stuff. You can't do this with AI. So in that sense, I would say like, oh yeah, this is KTH. We are well prepared for it. On the other hand, we are very like closely integrated to technology and, for example, coding, building software, and so on. Here, I don't know how should we tackle how should we assess students? I don't know if you have any thoughts of this, Olga.
I think we cannot really control what students are doing with AI. What we can do, we can provide some improved condition by, let's say, upskilling students by developing reflection, critical thinking about the generated outputs, or actually how they prompt different systems. So making the students and the teacher more knowledgeable about what the system can do, because we really cannot control for AI like current or recent AI system that's supported by large language models for decision making. We don't really know. We cannot control what kind of decisions they will take, but we need to empower students and the teachers to become more critical in terms of how the system work and what type of knowledge they need. So I guess our work as educators will be not to give them a system that works for them, but give them a set of skills that they need to interact with the system now and in the future as well. Which is a big task, I think, for any educational institution. I don't know whether KTH is different from other education institutions. I guess we're all experiencing quite similar challenges. But the question is not about the future, as I said before. The adoption rate is really high by the students. And I will not talk for the teachers, but I guess teachers also increasingly integrated there in their teaching practice.
Going back to Marcus, what he said, I think one of the evidence is, or one of the things is when students actually design and build things, AI become a tool, engineering tool. So in that context, it's not cheating. In other, if you don't redesign some of the things, then it's more questionable. And there are examples when students give an engineering challenge and they ask, "Can I use AI to solve this?" So we need to communicate more to the students how to use these as engineering tools, I think.
Yeah, another interesting case or study or area of application that we have noticed by some of research we are doing with the students here, we noticed that large language models also can be used to help students with different type of disabilities. For example, we found a way how academic text can be simplified by simple prompts that will empower students when they work in the everyday practice. So I do think what we need to figure out basically what are the good uses of AI to fill the gaps that we're having in the system. And we've seen there is a potential. There is also another type of research we are doing. We are doing research focusing on improving reading literacy skills with the kids, and we found this system becoming very good in speech recognition, this system becoming good in providing feedback. So actually building tool for supporting student teaching becomes easier even for non-technical people. So of course you need some human oversight in a little bit technical competence, but actually I think these tools become accessible today to many more than they were before.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And we had talks before about guidelines on, and we have discussed it now on how to use AI. I don't know if you have been thinking about this guideline, Olga or Joakim. Have you been thinking about the guidelines, how they should be used, and how students should think about the guidelines?
I do think personally that suggesting one static set of guidelines to every student and every teacher is dangerous in a way that it needs to be adaptable to the needs. As I said before, we cannot control from our side how students use it, and we don't want to have this control. So I guess as an educator, as a researcher, it will be our task to help the student to find effective human AI teaming interaction patterns for different pedagogical tasks. Let's say when they collaborate in the group, when they work on their own assignment, whether they need to leverage a, I don't know, multimodal video or something like that. So I think we need to acknowledge that in the future we will have more and more human AI teaming context, and we need as educators find these ways how we can actually support the students to still stay human in this context.
Yeah. I mean, a guideline is a guideline in a sense, and that can be helpful, but that doesn't mean that we don't need to redesign a lot of our education and think continuously develop with the tools, because these tools are developing fast, and I don't think we have fantastic individual teachers adopting and doing this fast, but the system, the programs, that level has a much slower pace. And I think that's where we need to increase the development and thinking.
And maybe we should start collecting examples of, we talked about assessments before, so we have clear guidelines, examples. Oh, you want to make your assessment differently, maybe don't have just a final exam. How could you make it into an exhibition? How could you make students build something? Maybe this is something we should move more towards. And in this sense, we are getting more AI proof, I would say, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean it's a development we can see. It also reshapes in that sense. If you take AI, reshapes how teams are designed in industry. A team of 8-10 people is now maybe 2 with the AI tools that helps them. And so yeah, we need to prepare our students for that kind of setting. But yeah, and then, like you say, give them real life examples, get them into to really design and build things. But like Olga then said, it's a problem because in some programs you could do this. You have a reasonable amount of students that you can do it in. We have other programs that's enormous, and Olga comes from one of those, has many students, and so it's tricky when we talk about it from a KTH perspective. One solution that would work for me in my class is very clear and obvious, but it's not maybe clear and obvious in Olga's class. And that's why I think we need more discussions, peers to peers and teachers, how to cope in this fast changing landscape.
Yeah, I think we need really also to support the instructors and teachers who are used to certain type of practices, but now they have to deal with a different type of practice that students don't. So I think not only upskilling students, but also upskilling
Teachers.
our teachers, instructors, and seeing how we can offload them from what they struggle spending their most time on. I think discussions should be around what should be kept to humans, human teachers, students, and what could be outsourced to AI. But we need to prove that AI in that way doing the right job for supporting student teaching. So we need to find the balance. Okay, maybe we have 400 students on a course. Maybe we can come up with a system that provides feedback to each student every day when he or she needs it. For teachers, it's not possible currently because it's a very high workload. So how we can actually fill the small gaps that the teachers are experiencing, and at the same time, how we help in the system. Also, I think an important question we didn't raise, but maybe I can also ask you, Joakim and Marcus. We know that the system, AI system, currently quite capable in solving many tasks, right? They are capable to write a code, to write a text. So a question from my side to you, maybe, do we need to reconsider what should be taught to the students?
Yes. The answer is yes, and that's a little why I'm starting the question to you. Do we have the right discussion here about what the impact is and the collegial discussion? Because I think we need to reconsider what we teach the kids when it comes to that. But still, you're going to need students that know code because they need to be able to both instruct an AI, but also judge the response coming back and understand what's coming out. So it's a balance, but how should that balance be? How much should be the fundamentals and how much should be the application and engineering tool? And maybe this is where we need to have some fundamental courses, but then they may be hands-on where they apply it and use it as an engineering tool. And I think we need to restructure the balances in our programs, in many of our programs, to not become obsolete with that. Yeah, and then again, one way is to go back to our heritage in the sense we are an engineering school. We can get the students to design and build things where they will use AI as an engineering tool. And it doesn't mean that every course should be that, but maybe we need to shift the balance a little in many programs to actually be relevant.
Yeah.
And then maybe we don't need to be so afraid that they have used too much AI because they might not be able to solve the real problems if they didn't learn the fundamentals. So if you can follow them like that, you could see that they have the fundamentals.
Yeah, and I agree to you, Joakim. Maybe this is something AI is doing as well. It is, in some sense, challenging our system, and it's going to highlight some of the things that maybe not that we have been doing wrong, but that we definitely could improve. Like, for example, like is turning in a report, is it the best way of assessing students? Maybe in some sense, maybe it depends on the report, right? But it's going to be more and more important to understand if it comes to research, for example. Then I think it's like, okay, it's not exactly the text within the report, the paper that will be important, but it will be understanding the methods. Are you using an experimental method? Why is this this method better than another method, and so on? And I think in that sense, or we as teachers, we have to push our students to kind of do this kind of more critical, analytical thinking. We have to set the boundaries higher when it comes to those that type of assessment. And maybe I don't say we shouldn't care about the fundamentals. We still need that for sure. But we should make sure that students really get this, that they can't slack on the more analytical and the higher order thinking.
Yeah, I guess we are getting a new generation of students, right? We're getting very soon a generation of students who only studied with ChatGPT the whole their university pass. So I think what is important also to prepare students to be more adaptive, like in their future life. Let's say, yes, currently we've seen an increase in how this AI system can solve programming tasks. They're becoming better. They're becoming better in solve mathematical tasks. They were pretty bad 2 years ago. Now their performance like increasingly increases. So I think it's really important to see, okay, maybe we need to prepare the students. So by the end of your education program, you may need to quickly readapt to different settings. For that, they need this set of skills. And what you said, Marcus, reflective thinking, critical thinking, more self-regulated thinking is a very good way to go. The question is up to us education institution to see how we will assess those skills. And I guess this is a question for colleagues to discuss in their specific subject domains and also different educational phases, let's say year 1 or year 4 or 5, and their studies can be quite different in terms of their study techniques that students may have adopted or developed over time.
Yeah, I'm talking about the upcoming students. I'm a little afraid for the, so if you have been using AI a lot, you kind of test yourself to the knowledge. You start interacting fast and you iterate to get to solve the problem and get the knowledge you want. A lot of our pedagogic models is that you get the theory first, then you experiment and do something. Will they have the patience if we don't change pedagogic model to actually learn at KTH? I think that's an issue that I struggle with. I don't see my kids have the patience to actually, stay and dig down and really learn something. They want to see result much faster.
Yeah, I think, in general, students in K-12 higher education is a bit more challenged with the amount of information that's surrounding them and how to navigate between different media contexts. So it's also about the skills, like how we can keep their attention on right thing, how we can make them read 30 minutes more a day rather than play a video game, how we can put them on, discussing a complex problem with their peers, like students, instead of asking or prompting ChatGPT to give them answer or idea. And I think it's really important. It's changing, so we cannot we cannot control. But what we can do, we can start preparing the students to these type of human AI teaming environments, whether they are in education or in their future lives.
We can teach that type of grit, but we can take it for granted, in a sense. It's a redesigning to get that in. We need to make sure that they need to know that if you want to be an engineer and solve problems, you need to learn to dig into something and really understand the depth of it. But maybe we can take that for granted when they start.
Yeah, but I think, what is important, human tutors or human educators, they do have expertise and knowledge that AI system do not have.
Yeah.
So what for us is really important, if let's say we design a system to support student and teacher, we need to integrate their expertise and knowledge into the behavior of the system to make them more, relevant, to more appealing to their use. We currently see such system as Google Learn. So there are some attempts even from commercial providers to provide more learning-oriented tools for the students. But I guess there are two problems there. First, it's already students who found these type of systems, so they are more agentic in their way how they approach learning. Another problem, they are rarely contextualized to the subject-specific, the culture of education system or the culture of the country where they are getting this educational, where they're getting the education program. So contextualization matters a lot. Subject specificity, also the level of education, at what stage of education program they are, and many more. So yeah, the ecosystem of these EdTech providers, commercial providers, educations tools, because we also use non-AI tools in our courses and programs, become quite a complex thing or endeavor for us to think about.
I think it's interesting with this perspective on like, should we, the theory side, is it not as important, maybe that's the wrong word, but maybe we don't put so much weight on it. And then you have to ask yourself like, okay, so what is the role of the university if we don't provide this kind of theory anymore? And as I am speculating, I spoke to some colleagues about this before, then kind of the role of the university is to provide really, really hard to solve problems. I don't know. And for me, I think many of the students, you can say like, oh yeah, they want to use AI. It's more simple. That's one hand of it. That's one side of it. But on the other hand, I think they also want really hard problems. They want to solve real world problems. You know, when I went to the exhibition with you, Joakim, these students, they have been working 24 hours. The students in the student formula team, they are working all week for like, oh yeah, just let us see if we can drive this car faster. So that's,
I think that empower the students and give them challenges to solve that's relevant. Then they would excel and they would use the tools they can to solve the problems. So it's more designing those kind of problems is a really, really cool and good thing. Yeah. But Olga, so what's next for you?
What's next for KTH or for what's next for what is AI in the future of KTH education? You maybe I think we need to start with mapping what's going on at KTH. We need to identify the problems that stakeholders are experiencing at different levels. And we need to start empowering them by either designing professional development program, upskilling courses for students, but also tools that may be specific for KTH, where we can actually look for the data. We can use learning analytics, machine learning, computer science methods to actually understand how these different stakeholders use this type of system, because they will get more objective assessment what's going on. For currently, we don't have a lot of insight how and what they're using when they use these commercial tools.
That sounds good. I'm so glad that you're now going to lead this area at the future education.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Nice having you, Olga, and of course, nice having you as well, Joakim. I'm sure we will get back to AI and how to implement AI, ethical aspects of AI, assessing with AI, and so forth in upcoming episodes. But I think we end here for today, and I can see that we have some participants in the chat. So please, participants, please, dear guests, stay on, and we will have a little after talk afterwards. But for your listeners on Spotify, YouTube, and KTH Play, thank you for this time. See you next week. Bye bye.